It's a get-right game for ASU and for Kenny Dillingham and for PHNX Sun Devils. We got to get it together, man.
Facts. Happy Wednesday and welcome into the PHNX Sun Devils show, of course, presented by Branded Bills. Make sure you head to brandedbills.com and use code BBPHNX for 15% off your first order.
Hey, guys.
Take a look at our downloads right there. I'm Anthony Totri. That guy right there, that is Erik.
Our downloads presented by Branded Bills.
I don't know what's going on today,
the
guys.
Deli Man behind the Mac, making all of the downloads happen, guys. Do us solid. Hit
Dark
that
magic.
like button. Hit the subscribe button. And drop a 5-star review wherever you get your podcast. Lee Corso in the chat, along with Parker Allen as well. Love to see everybody here on another hump day and another edition of the PHNX Sun Devil show. Rubus, we got a ton of sound. We got Kenny Dillingham, Marcus Arroyo, GJ Kinne ahead of Arizona State's Week 3 matchup against Texas State. Before we dive into what the coaches, what the experts had to say about the upcoming matchup, this is a get-right game. It has to be for Arizona State, your last non-con game before you enter what now kind of looks like a little bit of a gauntlet in Big 12 play.
Yeah, especially through the air. I think our conversation yesterday about the secondary and the defense and what needs to step up, you know, it's a get-right game on both sides of the ball, and Texas State is one of those teams where they will present enough challenges for you to where you are still going to have to go out there and earn it and prove it. But if you go out there and take care of business like a top 25 team, which you absolutely should be, like a top 15 team, like you absolutely should be, that is a standard this team should be held to.
Yeah.
This should be a game where you walk out of it feeling a lot more confident than you did out of the last 2 weeks. But before we dive into that, some housekeeping.
Yes.
Of course.
Supporters Club.
Supporters Club, which is just so awesome, so amazing. We've seen a bunch of people join, including Sharon has joined. And, of course, for the $5 a month level, you get a badge next to your name. Your name also lights up a special color in the chat.
Wow.
As well, which is pretty cool. But of course, the most important part is you get a bunch of emojis that you can spam, and the more people that become members, the more emojis that are unlocked. It's awesome. Also, I want to let people know that like being a diehard is still pretty damn cool.
It is very cool.
Last night, randomly, I said, you know what? I like the diehards quite a bit. It's just what I do.
Yeah.
And to celebrate 4-year anniversary at PHNX, which did we even bring up yesterday?
I don't know if we did on this show.
Hey guys, it's the day after the 4-year anniversary of PHNX.
We'll be better on year 5.
Yes. But I jumped in the Discord, did a little live chat, talked with Lee Corso in here, Sharon, Sean, a couple other people from the Discord. Got to talk to some people that I never even met before in the Discord who were more from the Diamondback side of things. It was really cool. So become a diehard today. We'll do impromptu chats like that, exclusive content, and everything of that nature. So there are a lot of different ways for you to be more involved in this really wonderful community if you so choose to.
Do it. Sign up. Do all the things. But, of course, getting to the matchup and kind of what's at stake for ASU, I feel like that's probably why we slipped on the 4-year anniversary. We're just so locked in, man.
We are locked in.
We're so locked in.
This is a big week.
The team needs to be locked in. It's a massive week. And I think, again, we'll get to some of the sound a little bit later on in the show, but one thing that we don't have, not that we don't have sound for, but we won't have for you on today's program that I want to get to is kind of what Kenny had to say at post-practice availability, just in terms of like, yeah, you obviously want to win every game, but kind of echoing what he said on Monday, it's so much more than that. Like the standard is different. And it goes back to what we've been maybe butting heads a little bit throughout the week, and since that loss against Mississippi State, is like at the end of the day, you're holding this team to a different standard, right? The standard of you got to play like a top 12, top 15 team in the country. And that standard hasn't been met. And Kenny had brought that up today and kind of said, like, that's what I want to see. That's what I'm looking for. I want to see this team play good football, because you can win games and you can still not feel good about the way that you played. And he didn't outright say it, but it almost felt like he was alluding to the NAU game, to where they had won. And it obviously, like, you kind of saw the disgust on his face post-game, right? And then you obviously have a game last week against Mississippi State, and that goes the way that it does. Like, this team just needs to go out there and showcase to themselves what that brand of football still is, because there's so many guys on this roster that have played so much college football, that understand what a winning brand of football looks like, what an elite brand, a conference championship winning brand of football looks like.
Yeah.
And they haven't done it 2 weeks through the season, even with putting in all the work that they have over the summer, over the spring, over the fall. Like, I think they're as antsy as the fan base is to see a legit showing of what Arizona State football looks like in 2025. And for all the folks, Kevin included in the chat, that have already either jumped ship or have kind of set the line in the sand of, like, you know what? It was last year. Last year was your run. I'm hearing a lot of, oh, this is U of A from a couple years ago. Stay on that side, man. Stay on that side the entire time.
Yeah.
Because this team has the talent to do so. They know they do. We saw it last year, right? If you are the type of person that legitimately thinks that because number 4 and number 7 are gone on this team, that the other 70% of players that stayed, the coaches that stayed, aren't going to figure it out, can't figure it out, I mean, I don't know what else to tell you, but logically, it doesn't make sense to already jump ship after
Yeah, no, it doesn't make sense to jump ship after this. I think it makes sense to just be upset, right? And makes sense to not be thrilled with what's going on, and to know that things are going to have to be different. The thing is, though, when you're talking about, okay, we want to see this team play good football, right? To me, that's hand in hand synonymous with winning. Not that it's impossible to win without playing good football, but now with the quality and the level of opponents that you're going to be facing after Texas State, and I'm not trying to gloss over Texas State, but they are not Baylor, right?
No.
They are not Utah. They are not TCU. They are not Iowa State.
They're one of the better teams, if not the best team, though, in the Sun Belt.
Absolutely, but they're still not a top 5-6 team in the Big 12. No. Again, not trying to overlook it, but if you are going to be playing these teams, while it is possible to win without playing good football, right, you still have really no margin for error at this point. I know that an at-large bid was always relatively questionable for this conference, for sure. You're most likely going to have to win the Big 12, but on a game-to-game basis, right, if you don't get right against Texas State and walk in against Baylor with an improved secondary, right, if you don't go into Baylor on the road to start Big 12 play, playing good football that we know this team can play, that's the frustrating part is, like you said, they have the talent. Don't switch up because they can. Well, they haven't, right? Can and have are completely different things. And so they need to go into this week and set themselves up for success, use it as a stepping stone, and then be ready to go into Big 12 play, a different team than walked into non-con.
Agreed. Absolutely agreed. I want to get to a comment from Dominique in the chat saying, tuning in from the SIP, I'm a fan of this show. Now, absolutely love it. We've had a couple of different fan bases or folks from different fan bases either become diehards or just stick around in the chat. Of course, we have the one and only Oregon State fan that's been in the chat for like years now. Shane, literally, I think since before I was even on the program. We've got Devinal, or not Devinal. And is it, what's his name? It's Devinal, the Iowa State fan that we have in the diehard Discord, always hopping in the chat as well. Like, so it's always fun to see different fan bases hop on over.
Good to see you here, Dominique. We are rooting for Mississippi State for the rest of the year.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd love it if they went undefeated.
Yeah, we are Mississippi State fans.
Let's
we
go,
want Mississippi State to run the SEC.
What do they say? Hail State?
Hail State.
Yeah, Hail State.
Hail State. More cowbell, all that stuff. Also, shout out Sharon, who is a member, who's in chat. Sharon was in the diehard Discord conversation. I heard Sharon's voice for the first time.
Wow.
And that's
was
what
it
you're
the sound
missing.
of an angel?
I mean, it was the sound of the mother of the Discord. Basically. Yeah. So it was a really great time last night talking to everybody. But good to see you here, Dominique. Rooting for you guys. Really hope that you guys are not as good as you were last year. I hope you are much, much better.
Yeah, and I think when we talk about Texas State, and we kind of pinpointed last week ahead of the Mississippi State game what worked well for ASU in that first matchup and what didn't, right? And I think we were both on the same page that part of what led to Arizona State being so dominant when Mississippi State came to town, especially in that first half, was just a focus and an emphasis on running the football, which you didn't necessarily see this time around until the second half, which, again, you watch the second half of that game and you're probably like scratching your head like, hey, why didn't they just run the football the entire time? And then you go back and you look at what Texas State did in week 3 against ASU in 2024, and it was the opposite of what Mississippi State did. It was a lot of stacking the box, trying to remove the threat of the run, and it was successful for the most part of the game until Arizona State and Cam Scadaboo really needed to put it away, and I believe they did so with a scat run to close out the game there. So the interesting part of going into this game is it feels like things have almost swapped for Arizona State, right? Now we're going into this game and we're like, okay, well, this time last year, you knew what you had. You knew your identity was a run-first football team, and you were just going to run through whoever was lined up across from you. You'd open it up with the play action. You'd see what happened. Last year, it was the first time that we saw Sam and Tyson really connect on a deeper level offensively, going over the century mark.
Yeah, Jordan hit over 100 yards, and there was a massive play. I think it was sometime in the first half. Where you're just like, oh, we've been waiting for that.
You finally saw that connection, right? That was almost the get right moment for the passing game of the offense was that Texas State approach. So I'm very interested and intrigued to see what Texas State's defensive plan is this time around, because this isn't one of the best defenses in their conference, in this conference, whatever. Texas State wins football games because of their offense.
They put up
ridiculous numbers in terms of total yards. I believe they're averaging over 500 yards of offense a game right now. They've got their first 2 games have gone over 40 points in each of them.
52 points to 27 against Eastern Michigan in week 1. 43 to 36 on the road against UTSA.
And Arizona State has better offenses than
Absolutely.
both of those.
But they've been airing it out.
They have been.
And we'll hear from GJ Kenny a little bit later where he talks about how he wants the team to maybe improve a little bit on running the ball. Their bread and butter has been airing it out, which has been Arizona State's kryptonite. In fact, one of the worst defensive units in the Big 12 as far as the passing game goes. Statistically speaking. Obviously, talent-wise, we believe they have the talent to be the best, which is why that's such a shocking
Kenny says the same exact thing. He said it today post-practice when people were asking specific questions as it relates to players. He was like, Javen Robinson's a phenomenal corner. He's like, I would have him in man just about against anybody, and I would sleep good at night. And he's put in all the work. We've seen Javen Robinson do pretty remarkable things for this program. So everything that we've seen up to this point feels, rather uncharacteristic of him and of this defense and of this offense as a whole. That's, I think, the most frustrating part. Getting back on the narrative of okay, what are you going to see against the Bobcats here? If you're Texas State, you go into this game, and GJ Kenny says they have a better team than they had last year. Right. Do you just go with the same approach that you had last year where it's we're going to turn this team into a one-dimensional offense. We're going to take away the run, especially since we saw how dominant this team was on the road, against an SEC team when they did decide to run the football. You take that away and you say, hey, we've seen Sam in this passing game struggle a little bit offensively. We're going to make them beat us like that. Is that the approach that you think Texas State goes with here?
I think they are going to try to limit the run first. Obviously, your focus is going to be on Jordan Tyson because how could it not be on Jordan Tyson? But if you're Texas State and you're watching week 2, listen, man, you're gonna make Sam Leavitt prove it, right? And I think he can. I think he absolutely can, and I think he will as well. But you're going into that game, and you saw what they did in the second half, and when the tide of that game completely shifted, it was when they started running the ball like crazy. Right, and I don't think that we expected, you can correct me if you disagree, Kyson Brown to play this weekend. Probably, maybe not 100% ruled out, but I'd say you're probably looking at just Raleek and Kinne at this point, which I think is still plenty to get the job done. You saw what they did in the second half against Mississippi State
yards
against what should be a better run defense than what Texas State is able to offer. right? Even though Mississippi State in the second half did lose their best defensive lineman, which was a pretty big reason why Arizona State was able to run all over them in that second half. I think they're going to try to stop that run first and get pressure on Sam, right? Crowd the box, like get all up in his face, try not to let them establish the run, and force him to feel like he's got to take big, deep shots downfield, right? Force this offense into feeling like they have to do what we complained about a couple of days ago, which is like, okay, you're not getting your chunk plays first. You're trying to get bigger and better earlier. I think that's going to be the game plan for Texas State. Can they execute on it is the real question. And will Arizona State just be better to the point where even if they do execute, the talent level, the mindset, the chip on your shoulder and something to prove is just too much for a team like Texas State, which, again, I'm not trying to disrespect them because Texas State can absolutely win this game. Like, their offense is potent enough to do it. Yeah. I think they're an incredibly well-coached team.
Especially given what we've seen from ASU the first 2 weeks.
Yeah, given that, and given the fact that I think G.J. Kenny is one of the best younger coaches. It's the Kinne show. It's Kenny and Kinne. He's one of the best younger coaches in the country. This team gave this team a run for its money last year. Like, all of that for sure right here in the middle, right? And that's acknowledged.
Yeah.
Arizona State, even out of the top 25, sitting at number 26 in the country, should have the talent level to even, like, if Texas State executes even at their highest level, if ASU executes at their highest level,
be a win for ASU.
It should not just be a win, it should be a pretty dominant one.
Yeah.
And that's just the reality of holding yourself to the standard of being one of, if not the best teams in the Big 12, which you are not right now.
Yeah, I think that's totally fair. Lee says, does this team change their offense and their fortunes by running the football more? I think that's a big question. Then will be answered this week. We may have an answer for you, or Marcus Arroyo or Kenny may have an answer for you on the other side of this first break.
I love Gila River Resorts and Casinos. I've had so many wonderful experiences there, and not just all the PHNX live events that we do out there at Wild Horse Pass, like the away game Cardinals watch parties, Suns watch parties. Of course, we had the Big 12 Championship, the Peach Bowl watch parties, the fantasy draft, the Cardinals rest. Man, we do a lot of stuff at Gila River Resorts and Casinos. We even do like PHNX exclusive events where you could talk to players like Archie Bradley. I know we did a Mercury one recently as well. But even beyond that, Gila River Resorts Casinos has an unprecedented level of entertainment, whether it's a state-of-the-art gaming floor, whether it's going poolside and relaxing at any of their 4 locations, Wild Horse Pass, Lone Butte, Vequiva, Santan Mountain, upscale to approachable dining, really the whole 9 yards over at Gila River Resorts and Casinos. There is a rule, though. I mean, there's a lot of rules. But there's the biggest rule. The rule is you do you. At Gila River Resorts and Casinos, visit playatgila.com for more details.
Look, I've been all over town already this morning, from Tempe to Phoenix to North Phoenix, all over. And of course, our friends over at Circle K are not only saving me money on gas driving around town, but also hooking me up with some energy drinks. That way I can get through the day. Whether you're somebody that loves coffee, energy drinks, you need a pick-me-up snack in the middle of the day, doesn't matter. Circle K has a ton to offer on that front. But of course, the reason that we're talking to you today about Circle K is that free membership program. It's Inner Circle. It's super easy to get signed up and enrolled. Just go to the App Store, something you could do in the next 15 seconds. Download the app, enter your email and phone number, and boom, that's it. You are a member of Inner Circle. The next time you pull up to that pump, you guys can type in your phone number, and you guys are going to save 25 cents per gallon on your first 5 fill-ups. And then you guys can save money every single day after that when it comes to gas. Something you always got to remember. Join Inner Circle for free by downloading the Circle K app today. Terms and conditions apply at participating locations. Visit CircleK.com for details. Hit that like button.
Ooh.
Hit the subscribe button.
Oh.
Drop a 5-star review. And also join us September 12th at 4:30, guys, because we got a special live PHNX Cardinals event hosted by our friends over at Rally House. Going to be in the West Valley at their Glendale location, just a stone's throw from State Farm Stadium. A couple days before the Cards have their big first home game of the season. See Bo and Johnny in person. Plus, you guys are going to have a chance to win. They're going to be giving away 5 $50 Rally House gift cards to fans in attendance. The best duo in sports. It's PHNX Cardinals and Rally House.
It's Anthony Totri and Erik Ruby, but yeah. I mean, according to Jordan, who's a Texas State fan, says, hey, Texas State fan jumping back in and says, shout out to y'all. Listen to a lot of Phoenix radio and podcasts. You guys are the best I've heard.
Wow. Appreciate that, Jordan.
Thank you, Jordan. Jordan also saying a lot of other people are looking over this game saying that it's a given, but he thinks that this one is a little closer than what a lot of people are making it seem.
You know, I think when it comes to this game specifically, and each and every game is you build off the last one, right? I think given what we saw against NAU and Mississippi State, I think Mississippi State, if Arizona State would have won that game, I would be a little bit more concerned with this Texas State matchup if ASU would have won that week 2 matchup.
Interesting.
Because it would have been like, okay, you know what? We still found a way to get it done.
2-0.
Right? 2-0. We're the better team. We went on the road. We accomplished it. Last game before you get into conference play, whatever. But because of the way that Mississippi State game went, because of the way that this season is stacked up versus last season, I felt like last year Texas State was the first team to punch ASU in the mouth. Was the first team to sit there and stand up across from the Sun Devils and say, you know what? We're not going to let you just push us around because we're a group of 5 team and you're a power 4 team. That's not going to happen, right? And they punched them in the mouth, and ASU had to answer. They had to respond. Obviously, the Sun Devils go and win that game. You know what happens the week after when they see Texas Tech on the road. The reason I think this is different, and again, I'm not trying to throw shade at Texas State. I think they are a team that, like you said, can go in to Mountain America Stadium. If they play their perfect brand of football and ASU comes out flat the way they did against Mississippi State, Bobcats absolutely have a chance to win this game. With that said, though, Arizona State has already been punched in the mouth this season, and they've already had to respond, and they lost that game, right? I don't think this team comes out 3 weeks in a row soft. I don't think they come out 3 weeks in a row unable to get into a rhythm. I do not think they come out 3 weeks in a row after being ranked the number 11 team in the country to start the season and disappoint not just the fan base, but I think they're so much more inclined and focused on their own mission. It's enough of like, you know, we got the number next to our name, we're doing the climb, like all this stuff. Like the number's not there anymore.
Yeah.
Right? That all the hype, all that, whatever is dead right now, which is totally fine. Maybe this team needs that. Maybe this team needs to just focus on playing football, and I think that's what you're going to see on Saturday against Texas State. Texas State last year had the advantage of punching ASU in the mouth first before any other team did.
Yeah.
That's not the case. This ASU team was just in a dogfight, and I think they're ready to deliver that first blow.
And I think an underrated part last year as well is like you were on the road, right? It was the first road game for Arizona State last season, and Texas State jumped out and just completely punched them. Yeah. I think Mississippi State got a couple jabs in at the end of their game, but ASU was already up and then just kind of put them to sleep at the end. It was the first time that entire season you sat back and went, are they going to lose this game? And it was totally on the table. Are they going to lose this game? And I agree with you. I believe that this is the type of team that's going to bounce back. I believe this is the type of team that's going to show up prepared on Saturday. I'm not trying to like go all the way into Sun Devils advocate or whatever, but like I also felt that week 1.
Yeah.
And I also felt that week 2. And those are two things that I did not see in those weeks. And if it is happening this weekend, which again, I'm not predicting is going to happen, but if it does, which this team has shown is a possibility, whether we like it or not, there's going to be some extremely uncomfortable conversations going into Big 12 play. And I think a lot of people will say the season is over. I think it's certainly a lot closer to being over than it would be if you win this game. And it's kind of sucks how pivotal this game is going to be. But if you run the table in non-con, okay, yeah, sure, you could still make the Big 12 championship. But are you going to run the table in non-con if you start 1-2, right? This is the response game.
Yeah.
This is the we're going to show you what we're made of game. And that's really important for this team. Not to prove it just to us, to podcasters, not just to prove it to the fans, which I believe Kenny said they're getting close to a sellout again here in non-con.
Which is big, especially after what happened in week 2.
It's big after what happened, and it's big considering it's not a Big 12 opponent. Yeah. And again, I'm not trying to disrespect Texas State, but more talking about this fan base. You're 1-1 on the season after a disappointing loss playing a group of 5 team at home, and you're still close to a sellout.
Yeah.
That's impressive. But not just to prove it to them. These guys need to prove it to themselves.
Yeah.
Because I know they're extremely confident in themselves. I know that they work hard. I know that they're prepared. I know that they're well coached and they're talented. But if you come out there and you can't get the job done on the field for really the 3rd week in a row,
it's a problem. It's a major problem.
You have some serious soul searching that you need to do. M says we already saw what they're made of. I don't fully agree with that.
I don't think you did.
I mean, they did respond to that second half against Mississippi State.
They played better football. The best football that this team has played was the last half of football that they just played. And they lost that game, which I think is, again, so important to, again, what Kenny, I guess, at halftime had told them. This is exactly what we needed. We needed somebody to come punch us in the mouth. Everybody was talking all this and all that, optimism, Big 12 championship, history for this Arizona State team. It almost felt like they were untouchable, right? Now, I don't know how much of that they actually believed as players or bought into or fed into that, hey, we're untouchable. We're the number 11 team in the country. We are the reigning Big 12 champions, right? And how much of that is just like media and fans echoing that. But now this team gets it, man, that they can play a decent brand of football and they can still lose the game. You are not invincible. And I think that is so damn important to realize that before you get into conference play. And this is an opportunity against Texas State to actually, like, put it out there. Play a full game of your brand of football, which I think is going to be just absolutely huge. I see some people in the chat asking about Jalen Moss and maybe some of the other injuries. I will see you guys in the Die Hard Discord as it relates to some of that information.
Shimon Mateer starting at quarterback this week.
Yeah, breaking. Shimon Mateer.
Sorry, I didn't mean to step on it.
No, it's all good. It's all good, man.
No, kind of the last thing on this before we hit some sound, because I think some really interesting stuff was said from both sets of coaches. We'll have Kenny, Marcus, and GJ sound on this show. Is this team absolutely has a lot riding on it right now. That being said, objectively speaking, a loss against Mississippi State is a lot better than a loss against Baylor, is a lot better than a loss against TCU, is a lot better than a loss against Utah. Getting these losses out of the way early, if that is what ends up happening, which I do believe is on the table, I'm not going to guarantee it. But if it's like, okay, we got the punch in the mouth out of the way early, we woke up, we responded, and now we're ready to go, it is much better for that punch to come in non-con than it is to come in the first couple of weeks of conference play.
Agreed. Absolutely
Especially with a week in between the two. I think that's why having, like, if Mississippi State game happened in week 3 and this Texas State game happened in week 2, and let's say they won Texas State but lost Mississippi State, I think that's a lot worse position for ASU to be in, to get that punch right before you go in against a great team in a really good team in Baylor. Flipping this around, now you have a chance to see that confidence level go up, but it's not a need to, it's a must.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or a want to, it's a need
must.
to.
It's agreed.
Yeah.
Wanakin saying, do we wear maroon? I am never sure. Yes, it is a maroon monsoon game. Definitely go out there.
Is there a monsoon?
It is.
No,
maroon
is there
monsoon.
A monsoon this weekend.
Please, Lord, no weather issues. Look, somebody in the chat earlier was talking about the struggles of this Arizona State offense. It's something that we have been discussing a lot. Really since the start of the season, even going back to that NAU game. We got the chance to talk to Arizona State offensive coordinator today, Marcus Arroyo, just after practice and get his thoughts on why the offense has looked the way it is and if he has been surprised with how much the team has struggled.
Yeah, and I think that comes back to guys playing, again, together in different combinations, and then guys maybe trying to play pressing too much. Me maybe asking, hey, we can do all this, and maybe we're not ready for that yet. I mean, it's going to start with me and saying, hey, where can we simplify? Where are we at? Where can we adjust and move forward? I have no situation or questions about our guys' ability to go out and continue to be what we want them to be each week.
I think the thing that sticks out to me most when I heard this was maybe guys pressing a little bit too much.
Yeah.
Meaning that they are trying to play hero ball. And I was talking with somebody a little bit earlier in the week, and they had this great phrase when it comes to this Arizona State offense and really moving toward what this team can be as opposed to like individuals running an offense. And it's, you've got players that are trying to be the machine as opposed to simply just running the machine.
Yeah.
And I think that is so big for this team going into this week, where you have specific players, a Jordan Tyson, a Sam Leavitt, maybe even a Kyson Brown, a Ben Coleman, that are almost putting so much on themselves, or maybe the coaches are putting so much on them to be those leaders and to be so successful so early on and throughout a game, right? maybe just asking them to do too much overall. I think this week you're going to see the offense take a little bit of a step back in that realm. I don't think you're going to see so much hero ball from Sam. I don't think you're going to see Jordan Tyson be the only wide receiver with a catch. I don't think you are going to see most of what you've seen offensively where it does feel out of rhythm. It does feel out of sorts. It feels like there's individuals as opposed to a team. I think this week there is going to be a much bigger focus on, okay, just we got 11 guys. All 11 guys just do your job, and we're going to be successful.
Yeah. And that was their strength. We were talking about them this offseason, right? Like, yeah, you have the top end talent.
That was the strength last year, and then you just added 4 behind them, and they were good.
Yeah, and the thing with Scat, and I think it's such like a weird, touchy conversation when you bring up like having to replace Cam Scatteroo, because a lot of people take it too far, but I also don't want to discredit like what he did mean to this team.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, he was not the only part of this offense, but he had the single greatest season in Arizona State history. And if you don't think it's that, then you can't disagree that it's top 3.
Can't just gloss over it.
You have to at least put him in the top 3 individual seasons in Arizona State history on both sides of the ball, mind you. Maybe subconsciously, and this is not something that I think that guys are like sitting up thinking, but subconsciously, since a lot of guys are returning from that one team and they understand the type of impact, it's like, okay, well, we have to make up for that.
Yeah.
Right? I have to make up for that. I feel like I can make up for that. Let me do that. And not in a selfish way, not in a I don't trust my teammates way, but in a I want to do what's best for the team way. And it's maybe bit them in the ass a little bit, trying to make up for what was sometimes hero ball last year with Cam Scatteroo. There were some games where despite all the other talent around him, it was give the ball to 4 and he's going to go win you the game. Like that was something that we saw last year, right? Doesn't mean that there wasn't other times that it was give the ball to Sam Leavitt, he's going to win you the game, or give the ball to Jordan Tyson, he's going to win you that game.
That's why it's so like crazy, and this is totally off topic. Why it's so funny to see, and it's a lot of this is coming from like our Wildcat counterparts that are talking the way they are about Sam Leavitt. Like he's not worthy of, the conversation of being a first round pick, or he's not a overall talented quarterback, people calling him overrated. You go back and look at some of the things that this guy did last season for this team in the moments in which he did them. It's ridiculous. So to sit here and say because he had a bad game or he's had a rough start to the season that this guy is not capable of living up to the talent that we saw last season is ridiculous. Like this guy is the quarterback of a team who is still the reigning defending Big 12 champion, that went to the college football playoff, that was a play away from beating the Texas Longhorns and advancing to play Ohio State in the semifinals. So like, just relax on this guy. Like there's, and I saw a question earlier of like, why do we have to simplify things when we're going into year 2 of this OC and year 2 of this quarterback? I don't even think of it more as like simplifying stuff. I think it's more so like taking the weight off of a guy who's just a redshirt sophomore quarterback, which I think people hear that this guy is, returning year 2 in the system. And it's immediately like, okay, I expect you to go out there and be this otherworldly quarterback, the same that you saw at times last season, which I think, yes, you can expect those things, but you also at the end of the day have to remember that this is his second season starting.
He's 20, right?
At the Division I level. I don't know his exact age. I know he's a redshirt sophomore.
Yeah, he's 20. He's 20. He turned 21 in December. He was born in 2004. Listen, it's the burden of expectations. And it doesn't just fall on Arizona State. It falls on the best players. And it doesn't just fall on the best players. It always falls on the quarterback. Always. Sports in general, but a lot of the times football is very much a what have you done for me lately? Because in all the other sports,
it shouldn't be. Though,
okay,
man.
But in all the other sports, hey, we got a game 2 days from now. We got a game tomorrow, right? In football, it's 1 game a week, 7 days apart, and you have to spend the next 7 days reacting to and building up to that game. And fair or not, which I think a lot of times it's unfair. Like these athletes are put in plenty of unfair positions for sure. But fair or not, you're put in this position to where every single week you are on a stage, you are the number 1 player on a pedestal as a quarterback. And if you not just underachieve via your expectations, but you have objectively a bad game, which objectively Saturday was a bad game. You absolutely can. But here's the thing. You have to come out next week, especially when You know, your AD is sitting here saying you're the best player in college football, right? We're sitting here for 7 to 8 months talking about how you're a Heisman candidate. The odds have you as a Heisman candidate. You're signing a deal with Powerade, with Adidas. You're talked about on a national stage. You're doing interviews on ESPN College Game Day or on college football, right? Like Game Day and Fox are coming to your school to do stories on you, right? These are the burdens of being one of the best players in the country. These are the burdens of being an expected top 10 pick. And can he go out on Saturday and shut everybody up by having a great game against Texas State? For sure. Absolutely.
It's just such a flaw of sports, of that somebody can be an otherworldly type player or be so good and they have one bad game and you completely forget like what this guy has already done for the program. It's ridiculous to me. The people that think he's overrated, you go watch what Sam did last season and what I think he'll continue to do this season once the offense does get in a rhythm. You go back from Oklahoma State, that Oklahoma State game last year, all the way through the rest of the season. Do you know what his touchdown to interception ratio was?
It was immaculate.
He had 17 total touchdowns to 2 interceptions.
Yeah.
The entire rest of the season. And there was a stretch there where he had just 9 touchdowns, no interceptions through 3 games against decent opponents. Like, this guy was a bad man for ASU in 2024. I understand it hasn't been the start that everybody wanted, but again, he started rough last year too. Just breathe. Just relax. This team is going to be fine. And I think a big part of it is hopefully expanding on the ground game, which Kenny was asked post-practice today, if maybe the identity of this team is going to be a little bit more focused on the ground game, especially given what you saw in that last drive against Mississippi State. And this was his answer.
And that's awesome if we can do that. And football becomes really simple when you can run the ball 15 of 16 or whatever, how many plays in a row we had. To be honest, that's not realistic. You're not going to just run the ball every single snap all year and say we're going to go drive 95 yards, right? So you can't just say because that one drive, that's what we are. But you can say the ability to do that and knowing that we can run the football, that has to be an identity of our team. That's why I went on a drive like that. So yes, that has to be an identity, but we have to be able to complement that identity, right, with other things in order to be efficient offensively.
It's nice that you saw that you can run the ball that effectively.
I think we knew though that
I know you knew it, but like again, week 1, Kyson Brown had 73 yards. I think Raleek had like 25 yards. Obviously, Sam had 73 yards as well. It wasn't like, oh wow,
and he had more than 73,
right? Because he got sacked. He was like 20-ish yards of lost sack yards,
probably something.
But
like that.
You look at the run game in week 1, and you're like, okay, they could do it, right? Run game second half week 2 is okay. This is what we expected. This is what we thought, and that was minus Kyson Brown.
Yeah,
right. And I don't even know what Sam's rushing numbers were. I don't think that they were that great week 2 compared to week 1. But like that's with 2 of your 4 running backs, basically.
Sam had 8 carries for 25 yards.
And I think that's just something where it also might have just said, okay, for now, while we get our juices rolling through the air, we know that we can fall back on Raleek and Kinne and hopefully eventually Kyson again soon. If you have that and you're going up against a team in Texas State whose coach admits, and we'll play that here in a second, we got a lot of sound we still got to get to, that they need to do better with stopping the run. Like, it might just be also better for the nerves of everybody, because I know that's like, oh, these are athletes, there should be no nerves. That's not how that works. Like, go out there the first couple of possessions, run the ball like crazy, get it in the end zone a couple of times, and then let's play around a little bit.
Yeah.
Let's target Shaman, and let's go deep to Jordan Tyson, and let's get Jaron Hamilton his first catch of the season.
Establish a rhythm.
And stop playing from behind to where you feel like you have to do this versus we get to do this.
Yeah.
Right? You're down 7-0 right off the bat after the first possession on the road against Mississippi State. Okay, we have to take a shot here.
Yeah.
We can't let this momentum slip away. You put yourself in a box. You're up 7-0 against Mississippi State on the road. You don't feel like you have to do anything. And the defense can't predict you as well either.
And it's tough because we know how aggressive Arroyo is. We know how aggressive Kenny is. And I think, obviously, Sam is that same type of player. Like, he wants the ball in his hands, right? So I think, again, when we take a look at, this offense and Sam and all of it, I think this week you're going to see, hopefully, I'm hoping and praying, you see a little bit more of a balance early on. And when I say early on, I don't necessarily mean early on in the game. I mean early on in drives. I mean, 1st and 10, I want to see you turn and hand it. I want to see Kanye Udo get the ball. I want to see Raleek Brown get the ball. I want to see an easy completion. Give me a screen. Give me an easy RPO. Give me something so that Sam can just see one go in to start, pick up some yardage there, so you are sitting in a situation where even if you don't pick up a big chunk, I'd much rather have a 2nd and 7 than a 2nd and 10 because you had an incompletion.
Sure.
Right? You can be aggressive, but there's a balance to these things. And of course, I know I don't have to explain this to these coaches. These coaches run circles around me when it comes to all of this type of stuff. So like that's just something that like I want to see. I think that would be best suited for this offense, especially given what we've seen through the first couple weeks this season.
And I also think it's going to be best suited for when you're back home. Like let's just be honest here. There's a lot of tension right now. There's a lot of PTSD. There's a lot of fear riding rampant in this fan base. Fair or not?
In the fan base, not the team.
No, not the team. Not the team. In the fan base.
Yeah.
Like, and I hate to say it, like, it's just the truth, right? Whether you like it or not, whether you agree with it or not, it's not everybody, but it is the truth. You go out there and you go 3 and out. You go out there and you have a shaky first possession on offense.
People are going to be upset.
That energy is going to get sucked out of the stadium. The same thing on defense. You start on defense against Texas State, they air it out down the field and put up 7 on you. I promise you, that crowd is going to go silent. And then they're going to get loud, and they're not going to completely get out of it. But for a moment there's going to be this uneasiness in the stadium.
Probably.
More so than any other time this week and maybe any other time this season. A fast start on both sides of the ball is absolutely necessary this weekend. We did not get to a fast start to getting to all of the sound that we have. So we'll get to some more of it right after our second break.
Look, I don't know if you guys know, Arizona State back at home taking on Texas State at the one, the only Mountain America Stadium. So, of course, they are the stadium sponsor for Arizona State. So why not put your money in Mountain America Credit Union, a company that you guys can trust. Of course,
don't hide it in the stadium, though.
Don't hide your money in the stadium.
I mean,
don't do that.
Don't hide your. I mean,
let me know.
Yeah, let us know. I guess.
Treasure hunt.
Take your finances.
Somebody hide a band at Mountain America
to
Stadium.
new heights with guidance from Mountain America.
It's in the ketchup dispenser.
Can visit the Mountain America Stadium at ASU, of course, to experience the legacy of Sun Devil football. Mountain America supports hundreds of student athletes and the community, and they're doing it in a bunch of different ways, donating $250 to support university athletics for every field goal made this season, providing $20,000 in scholarships to local student athletes each year. And that's not all. You guys can learn more at macu.com/ASU, insured by NCUA. Terms, conditions, and exclusions apply. Loans on approved credit.
Hey, do you want 50% off weed? You can get it at
always.
Zen Leaf dispensaries with using code ZenPHNX. Okay, end of ad read.
Ad read
I
over.
literally don't need to say anything else. I mean, I can, though, because Zen Leaf is your go-to spot for cannabis. I'm talking flowers, vapes, edibles, and more, with brands that you trust and locations all across the valley. Chandler, Gilbert, North Phoenix, and more. It's easy to swing by before kickoff this weekend, or maybe pick some up before our post-game show to either celebrate or numb the feelings. But you don't got to break the bank for this first time. Limited time promo code offer using ZenPHNX gets you 50% off a one-time purchase. Weed can be expensive, except for right now, because you can get 50% off using ZenPHNX on a one-time purchase for a limited time. Only Zen Leaf. Great weed, great service every time. Easiest ad read ever.
Look, hit the like button.
50% off weed?
Hit the subscribe button. Drop a 5-star review wherever you get your podcast.
How can that be profitable?
We're not doing anything. It's our PHNX partners that are just doing amazing things for
awesome.
The community. Before we get to GJ Kinne Sound, the head coach at Texas State, I know we've talked again a lot about Sam and Marcus and this offense throughout this week. So Kenny was asked on Monday at his presser just about Sam's response over the last 48 hours since that loss. Marcus was also asked today post-practice about Sam's response. And if I'm Sam Leavitt and I see this clip of my OC talking like this, I'm feeling good going into week 3.
Great. He's been great. I don't have any questions about Sam. I think that part of the growth in year 2 of a quarterback is being able to understand that success is not linear. There's going to be ups and downs, and there's going to be new people and identity and characteristics and chemistry that you're going to have to build each game, each week, each year. And I have no questions that he understands that. It's going to be able to adapt to that. And my job is to make sure I'm there right with him in lockstep, saying, hey, here's what we can do. Here's what I can do. What do you think about this? What do you think about that? What can I pull off? I got Sam's best. So I got no problems with how he's going to adjust.
Yeah, I think that's exactly what you want to hear, not only if you're Sam, but the fan base as well, right? Like, this is an OC that has supreme confidence. The head coach obviously has supreme confidence in Sam, his ability, his talent, his everything that he does. It's just a bump in the road, man. There's speed bumps all over. So, like, this is a team that has a lot of faith in their quarterback, and he is the guy that is going to lead Arizona State, and there's no questions about it.
Absolutely. And this is no shocking news. Like, when you hear about the relationship between Marcus Arroyo and Sam Leavitt, even from the first time that they met, where I think they met for like 6 to 8 hours talked a long time, this is not surprising at all. At all. Before we get to sound from GJ Kenny, we got to pass along some
let's hold on to this till the end of the show.
It?
Let's do the end of the show.
This is pretty awesome, though. That's pretty cool. All right, we'll get to that at the end of the show. So we had a couple sound bites from GJ Kenny. I say we maybe sit on a couple of them for later this week, since we've got 4 of them. But there's one that was kind of prevalent to what we were talking about before, as far as the differences between ASU last year and this year, and obviously bringing up Cam Scadaboo and everything like that. And I found it interesting when I was listening to GJ Kenny's press conference, when he was asked, like, hey, you played this team last year, you almost beat them. How is it different preparing for them this year versus 365 days ago?
I wouldn't say there's a ton of differences. Obviously, with Scat gone, that guy's a super player. But they still have a stable of backs that can really go. The offensive line is talented. They're really good. They return almost everyone on defense. So they're very, very similar approach, very similar in how they do it, just more experienced and probably better.
Probably better. I thought that was the thing that kind of keyed it in, because obviously, the coach isn't going to go out there and say, oh, yeah, they lost to Mississippi State or whatever. But when you break it down from him and you hear the reverence that he has for the program and what Kenny has done and looking at everything, I think a lot of people say no Cam Scadaboo equals worse. This is a guy who, again, we can all objectively agree knows more about football than all of us. Yeah. Saying, hey, yeah, they're probably better this year than they were last year.
Yeah, and I think that makes sense, right? They should be. In theory, we talked about how this team should be better as a team this year. Offensively, defensively, special teams, coaching, everything should be better. So I think, again, getting that respect from GJ Kenny and it being like, this team absolutely has the ability to be better than they were last year. They've got the ability to open at home, week 3 and go on a run and be dominant and really just give them the juice they need to get through or to at least start conference play. So I think to get that respect is huge. And again, he's not going to come out there and say, oh, they just lost, or we see weaknesses, or they started slow, whatever. But yeah, I mean, everybody that knows football understands that this team is and was a lot deeper than just Cam Scadaboo and Shamari Simmons.
I think it's very funny. Wanakin in the chat is saying that a key to winning this week is to take something that GJ Kenny says out of context and making it a rallying cry, and says he's totally disrespecting Tempe in that clip. Fans are going to riot.
Yeah, maybe, man. Maybe. Get your pitchforks ready.
I think it's going to be hard to say that he was disrespecting ASU, because he had a question about, how do you play against 2 potential first-round picks in Sam Leavitt and Jordan Tyson. He then obviously praises them, but turns into praising the entire program.
They're just really talented players, and they've been in the same system now for a couple of years, and that matters. That experience matters. Playing a big time couple games there at the end, and you go through that adversity, you go through those experiences. You figure out exactly kind of who you are, and really in all 3 phases, all that stuff matters. And so I think just the experience, the talent level, the chemistry, all that matters. And then, you start worrying about them, and then they'll have 2 or 3 running backs rush for 100 yards on you. So it's they know what they're doing over there. They're really well coached. They run the program the right way, which is what I really like, and I really respect about how they do it over there. I know a bunch of those guys, man, and great coaches, and there's a reason why he's come in there and flipped it and go to the college football playoff as fast as he did.
I hope that the people who are like out on this team can hear something like that and understand why like you can balance being disappointed while also not being out on the team. And it does a lot of times come down to, is this program built the right way? Anybody who's comparing ASU to U of A last year, right? Who had a great...
Not even last year, 2 years ago.
No, who's comparing ASU to, the team that was good 2 years ago, and then the year after that disappoints. A lot of U of A fans would agree that last season that football team was not well coached and the program was not being run the right way. And if you look at them this year, like they're on a much better track with their coordinators around Brent Brennan, right? You look at ASU, right? And the reason why I think it's okay to continue to call out these problems and then also know that they're likely going to be fixed is because you have never heard, and I mean literally never, you've never heard a coach say a negative thing about how this program has been ran since Kenny Dillingham has walked in. Even when the team wasn't good, and it's not like someone's going to go there and be like, yeah, they suck, unless it's like Gundy and Lanning and they want to kill each other, right? But
as Rubus back on merger.
But guys go out of their way. Coaches go out of their way almost every single time that they're asked about Arizona State, that they're asked about Kenny Dillingham, that they're asked about the program. They go out of their way to say that is one well-run program. That's an awesome program. It's amazing what they're doing over there, right? That is something to where when you look at a team that has to overcome adversity, that's almost the baseline for, okay, how do you do that? Right? A lot of people, and it's obviously different teams, different situations, will point to Notre Dame last year, right? Notre Dame had what? A terrible non-con loss last year.
Northern Illinois.
One of the most embarrassing losses of the season last year. That end up affecting Notre Dame at the end of the year? No, they played for a national championship.
National championship game, yeah.
The national championship, right?
How about Ohio State? Ohio State lost to their rival, and their rival wasn't good last year.
Right, and they go on and they win the national championship. Now, is ASU as a program where Ohio State and Notre Dame are? Absolutely not. They want to be there. They're trying to build towards it. But when you look at coaches, when you look at infrastructure, how can a Penn State overcome that and not crumble afterwards? How can Ohio State come back from that and not crumble afterwards? Sure, there's a baseline level of talent, but talented teams don't always come back from that and win. It's being a well-maintained program. It's being a well-coached program. Why is Alabama relatively fallen off the face of the earth based off their expectations before post Nick Saban? People don't think that program is run as well as it was before, right? Like, these are things that should give you confidence in the fact that Arizona State will respond this season.
100%. M says we're not Ohio State or Notre Dame, but that doesn't mean the principles of what the program isn't on that same path, right? Like, and Kenny has been criticized, I think, before in the media about his approach in terms of, like, how do you respond about losing and winning and all that stuff. And Kenny's answer is always pretty much the same, right? Like, the results are what they are. Externally, of course, you are going to want wins and not want losses. You obviously want your hard work to result in a win, but it's about the hard work, right? It's about the proof is in the process for Arizona State, and it always will be. The reason you see some of those talented programs with so many talented athletes not work out, and you have Bama as an example, right? We've all heard the saying that hard work is going to outwork talent when talent won't work hard. That is the brand of football that Arizona State wants to play. Yes, you have talented players at Arizona State. I think we've seen that. I think you're going to continue to see that as long as Kenny's here, but that's not the brand isn't the talent. The brand is how hard you work, right? How many times have we heard Kenny say you're going to have more fun working harder than anybody else in the country than right here, right? That's the brand that they want to establish. And over the last couple of weeks, as it relates to what you've seen on the field, you haven't seen that.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean that it's gone or that it hasn't been showing up in practice. Again, like, just because you have solid practices or you have talented players doesn't mean that the game always gets called the right way by the coaches. Doesn't mean that, things don't swing momentum and you ultimately end up losing. And I think that's what we've seen the first 2 weeks of the year. You had an ugly win. Week 2, you get punched in the face. It's not great to start. You rebound, but at the end of the day, there's a lapse in coverage, a miscommunication. They score, you lose, right? That's football, right? That's why they play. You get right back to work. As soon as they land back in Tempe after being in a trip to Starkville, immediately the mindset has shifted. It's over. Screw whatever happened in Starkville, right? Like that is going to only be an experience at this point, right? The road game in the SEC. We're on to Texas State. And I know it's cliche. I know it's coach speak. I know it's all those things that nobody wants to hear. But at the end of the day, it's genuine. It's genuinely how these players work and how they react and how they think and how they move. That's how Kenny's always been, right? He said it on Monday. Don't let Mississippi State beat you twice. You can't sit here and sulk and be thinking about Mississippi State the way that Anthony Totri and Erik have been doing all week on the PHNX Sun Devils show. You got to be focused on Texas State, right? Because that is the next opponent. That is the next most important game that is on Arizona State's schedule. And that's the truth. That's what it is. Like, yes, we could talk about Baylor. Yes, we could talk about TCU. Yes, we could talk about Colorado and Iowa State and what happens in December if you're in the Big 12 championship game and all that stuff. The most important game on Arizona State's schedule right now is this week against Texas State. Why? Because that's the game that's next.
Yeah,
it's true.
I mean, and next week it'll be Baylor.
Yeah.
Like, and that's the thing is when you brought up the point earlier of maybe in the long run, if this team does respond in the way that we think they will, that loss to Mississippi State could end up being a good thing.
Yeah, we could go back 7 weeks from now, and if Arizona State
is 7-0
in the next 7 weeks, and we could be like, yep, that Mississippi State game was exactly what this team needed.
Totally on the table. 11-1, totally on the table.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I'm pretty sure I said that on Saturday, even in my emotional state. That 11-1 is still absolutely
I'm glad you're
on the
acknowledging
table.
you were in an emotional state.
Emotional, vulnerable, and confused, I would say.
Yeah.
Maybe another word as well.
Yeah.
But if you're in the Die Hard Discord, you know. Love you too.
Megan doesn't love Shane or I stuff.
I'm sorry. I mean, you got to earn it.
I love you, Totri.
Hashtag earned not given.
Earned not given.
Hashtag earned not given.
Nobody works harder and has more fun than Erik.
Yeah. Love you. Okay. But with this team, if they turn around, they respond, and they beat Texas State. They start off Big 12 play hot, and you look back at Mississippi State and you say, wow, like they did it.
Yeah.
Right? They got it together. Totally on the table. Unfortunately, I think less or so and less likely also on the table is the fact that it's like, okay, why isn't this team responding the way it was in the first 2 weeks? Is there a hiccup? Is there a problem? And that's something that we just have to wait and see.
Yeah.
And again, both of us have an immense amount of confidence in Sam, an immense amount of confidence in Jordan, an immense amount of confidence in Kenny and this defense and Marcus and Brian Ward and the fan base and the AD and the program. Like that is really like what's important here and the confidence baseline going forward. Confidence can also be lost and earned, more so and less throughout the season.
Yeah.
Like it is going to be like hey, what do you do when the lights are bright, when the expectations are on you? That's why I am so excited for Saturday, because I really do think they go out there and make a statement.
Yeah, I think that's going to be the most exciting part of it, right? Is to see how this team learns each and every week and how they get better, because it's something you saw last year, right? Responding to adversity. And I think they did a really good job of responding to adversity at the end of last season and really taking it all the way through the Big 12 championship, et cetera. And we respond to adversity here as well. The adversity on the clock, that is. Of course, we are hitting overtime, guys. Of course, if you are watching on TV, the party always continues at gophnx.com. But Rubus, I think that is, when we talk about this team, like that is what you want to see. It's, yes, everyone can talk about the run game and the passing game and the offense and the secondary and the explosive plays, like all of the stuff that ultimately wins you the game. But I'm more so interested to see how this team responds to adversity.
Sure.
To the fact that they played a really good second half and they lost the game.
Reality was at some point this season they were going to face it.
Yeah.
There was no way.
Much rather have it now.
There was no way they'd get to the Big 12 championship without facing some adversity.
Yeah.
Right? Even if we felt like they could go 11-1, 10-2, whatever. Maybe 12-0 if you're on ayahuasca, aka me 10 months ago. I was not on ayahuasca, by the way. Don't put it in the papers that I was on ayahuasca. If you look at this team and you say, okay, even if they go and they run the table in the Big 12, on a game-to-game basis, what are the odds that they don't face adversity? 0.
Yeah.
0. Does that adversity always have to lead to a loss? No. Does it sting more when it does? Yeah.
It almost matters more though.
Yeah.
When it ends up in a loss.
And that's why, we felt like against NAU, it's like, okay, Mississippi State, we're going to see what this team is made of, right? And I think in part of the game, we saw what the team was made of, right? This game, way more than week 1 or week 2, is going to tell you the DNA, the makeup of this group of Sun Devils.
Yeah.
Are you the type of team that's going to shut everybody up when the doubt gets loud? Are you the type of team that's going to respond to a bad loss on the road, back at home in front of a nearly sold out, possibly by the time the game hits, a sold out crowd at Mountain America Stadium? Are you the type of team that practices as hard as they did today, with as good of a practice as they did today, and can relay that into on-field success? You have to answer those questions this week, and then you have to answer them next week, and then you have to answer them the week after that until the end of the season. That's the expectations. Answer it every week.
The expectations aren't real, remember?
Buddy, they're real.
I think something we can all agree on before we get out of here is Wanikin's comment. At least we aren't Kansas State.
I am fascinated to see what happens on Friday.
Should be a banger.
Yeah.
Fascinated.
Should be a good game.
Kansas State, Arizona. What are we thinking? Early on? Or do
I
we want
think
to save the predictions for Friday?
I think Arizona drums them.
Really?
Yeah, Kansas State is so sorry.
They're really bad. But also, they're really bad, but Arizona has also played Hawaii and Weber State.
But it doesn't matter because they've looked like a good football team.
They have looked like a good football
genuinely.
team. I think
Kansas State's, I mean, their version of PHNX is saying the exact same thing, though, that we said, where it's like, you got to respond now against a team that, in theory, you're better than.
Yeah.
Like,
well, you should have
you should have responded against Army.
No. Army was Texas State. If ASU loses to Texas State, then I'm going into Baylor saying everything's.
We're not even going to put that out there.
I know, but I'm saying that's in the situation that they're in.
Texas State.
That's the situation that they're in. Is that
you think Army would lose Texas State?
Yes.
Probably, yeah.
That's the situation that this podcast is in right now. It's not they're going to play Arizona. It's they're going to play Texas State in our world. Like, that's what's happening.
Well, look, we've got our predictions.
13-10.
That's your prediction. We'll have our predictions for Arizona State and Texas State. We'll have Heat Index, our positional rankings, and so much more on Friday's show. No show on Thursday. A reminder that Friday show is earlier in the day. We'll be going live at noon. And then, of course, we'll have a pregame and a postgame show for you guys on Saturday ahead of that Arizona State-Texas State matchup. That is going to do it for today's episode. We have one more thing.
Yeah.
Special thing that we teased.
Yeah.
Look at this.
We do have
Kyle Brandt, Cam Scadaboo, shirt collab, angry runs.
God, that's
Cam Scadaboo's holding a scepter.
He looks giant, dude.
Yeah.
Cam Scadaboo's bicep is the biggest thing in that photo right now.
You can follow the show.
I mean, you guys are just cringe, bro. Go ahead. Do it. Take us home, Rubus.
Follow the show at PHNX_Sun Devils. You can follow me, Mr. Chicken Little, at ERIKRUBY. You can follow this guy right here, sitting to my left, at Anthony_Totri. You can follow the Deli Man at Shane Deef.
Just trying to make Totri happy as always.
And go Devils in peace.
We all silly like the mayor.